Let's get more analysis and bring in Emma Salisbury, Senior Research Fellow on the National Security Programme at the Foreign Policy Institute. Emma, thank you for being with us here on France 24. We appreciate your time. What's your interpretation of what we've been seeing this Monday in and around the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, at the moment, we're in a very dangerous situation in the Strait. So the US are saying that they will escort ships out, and the Iranians are saying that that will not be permitted. So as we've seen just today with the strikes on cargo ships in the Strait, this is a very dangerous time, and there's a clear risk of escalation here.
Escalation, that very issue. We're seeing missiles, drones being fired at the Gulf states. Iran says at one point that it has no intention to attack the UAE. The UAE says missiles, drones coming from Iran. Again, this is looking very much like the kind of escalation back to a full-on war scenario.
Absolutely. And once again, it is really coming to the fore that the Strait of Hormuz is a huge point of leverage for Iran in the negotiations. Iran has no incentive whatsoever to give that up before it gets something out of the US and Israel in those negotiations. So for Iran to just let the US escort ships through would be very much against its interests at the moment.
UAE Defence Minister, just filling people in, Emma, says that it confronted 12 ballistic missiles, 3 cruise missiles, 4 drones fired by Iran this Monday. Gives us an idea of the scale of what is looking like escalation. Let's call it what it is. Donald Trump not satisfied with the last offer from Iran. What would satisfy Trump that Iran could possibly offer, Emma?
I think what Trump really wants here is what he views as a win. So for him, that would be not only dealing with the Strait of Hormuz issue, but the nuclear issue as well. And this is the really big sticking point in the negotiations. The Iranians want to sort the Strait issue first and then move on to nuclear stuff later on. But Trump wants to deal with everything straight away and to get a quick win so that he can show strength on the international stage and also at home.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I often am, but I'll leave it to you to correct me and put me right completely. I thought that last June, Trump and the US destroyed Iran's nuclear capability. That was how it was being touted, but clearly that wasn't the case.
Well, this is exactly the point. I mean, when Trump and the Israelis did those huge airstrikes on Iran last June, they said that they had destroyed Iran's nuclear capability. But everything that we've seen over the course of this war has shown that Trump doesn't actually believe that, because what he's trying to negotiate is that Iran will never have a nuclear bomb. And if this is the case, that must mean that Iran has some nuclear capabilities left. Ergo, they must not have destroyed them all. So it's a very odd rhetorical place for us to be in. And Trump clearly thinks that there is something left in Iran that he needs to negotiate for.
Back then, there were negotiations going on, and then the US decided to launch its attack. February the 28th, again, negotiations were ongoing. They decided, the US and Israel, to break off and attack Iran. Is there any wonder that Iran has doubts about anything that is being said by the other side?
I think a huge thing that has happened here is that America has confirmed everything that Iran has been telling its population. The Iranian regime is founded on a dislike of the US, moving into a hatred of the US, and they tell their population constantly that the US, the great Satan, is out to destroy Iran and its people, and Trump has done absolutely nothing to disabuse them of that notion. So this is a really important point where Trump should be negotiating, but he is moving towards using military force again to sort this problem out.
Is the issue here, Emma, that Trump and his advisors, the people around him, because it's not just he's not just the only person who decides, there are people around him who know about military matters, one hopes, and can give him the good advice that perhaps a president should get. Is it that they thought it would be just like Venezuela, as simple change things? In Venezuela, of course, it was arrest or kidnap Nicolas Maduro. Did they think it would be as simple and as straightforward as that seemed to turn out? And of course, it's been anything like that, has it?
Well, I mean, the Pentagon and the State Department have been planning a war with Iran ever since the Iranian regime came to power in 1979. This has all been planned and war gamed and strategized ever since. So it is not something that any advisor in the Pentagon would have told Trump was possible to do quickly. What I suspect happened is that Trump was made very overconfident by Venezuela because that operation went off very quickly, very smoothly. There weren't any losses on the American side, and he got what he wanted. So I think he then thought he could do whatever he wanted in Iran with a similar outcome. I also suspect that voices in the Pentagon and in the State Department who disagreed with that were just not agreed with and silenced or fired or just not listened to. And the voices that agreed with the president and with the Secretary of Defense and all of the other voices who wanted to bomb Iran and have wanted to do this for quite some time were the ones that were being heard.
The Trump 47 as opposed to Trump 45. Trump 47 not really surrounded by the kind of checks and balances in terms of people, personnel that would hold back those kind of decisions. Completely get what you're saying on that, Emma, completely get it. Do you see any sign of a resolution to the situation on the horizon? Final question.
Not at the moment, unfortunately. The only way to sort this out is with a negotiated peace deal. And negotiations do take a long time. This is a very complicated situation. There are lots of issues that need to be worked out and agreed on. And Trump simply does not have the patience for this kind of diplomacy. He wants a quick win, and this is how he's going to get it, is with kinetic force, he thinks. But actually, the only solution is a peace deal that has been negotiated.
Indeed, and there were negotiations going on February the 28th when the bombing started by the US and Israel. Emma, thank you very much indeed for your analysis. Emma Salisbury joining us there with the lowdown on the situation across the Strait of Hormuz. As Emma was saying, it's incredibly dangerous. Emma, Senior Research Fellow on the National Security Programme at the Foreign Policy Institute. Thank you very much indeed for joining us here, France 24. Your time is much appreciated.